Welcome to On the Chain. This is Chip here with Jeff, and we've got an incredible interview scheduled for you guys. Somebody that you all will love and have a great time with. But before we get into it, I want to just play the intro, take us in, and then we'll talk a little bit more on the other side of this. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome everybody to On the Chain. Drop where you guys are coming in from. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit. Without over 20 years of experience in the technology industry, serial entrepreneur, Aaron Mcdonald has managed portfolios exceeding 1 billion in revenue. He's an innovator, a visionary, and he's led the telecommunications market to the cutting edge realm of Web3 consistently, and I would say leading that curve as a co-founder of multiple influential companies, including Futureverse, Centrality, Non-Fungible Labs, and Altered State Machine, also general partner of NetX Ventures and D64 Ventures. Aaron has spearheaded some of the largest NFT collections that we're going to talk a little bit about and the most innovative blockchain and Web3 technologies available today. Recently, Aaron co-founded Readyverse Studios alongside Ernest Klein. You might know him as the author of Ready Player One, Dan Farah, producer of Ready Player One, and of course, the co-founder in Futureverse, Shara Senderoff. In 2019, Aaron received two notable recognitions. He was named Ernst & Young's Technology Entrepreneur of the Year, and IDG listed him as the top 50 technology leaders. Without further ado, the man of the hour, Aaron Mcdonald.
Yay.
Welcome back to On the Chain, Aaron. Yay! There he is.
Hey, it's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Great to have you here.
Yeah, all the way piped in, fresh off your Austin, Texas escapades at South by Southwest.
Yeah, that was great. Loved going to Austin and hanging out there and eating some local barbecue and spending the time, talking to all sorts of folks who are really keen to be, working with us on what we're building with the Readyverse, and launch that trailer over there. It was a fantastic trip.
Yeah, it's sort of in that South by Southwest interview too. I sort of got a little bit of a flavor that there's some more on the horizon with some partnerships coming up that you couldn't quite announce quite yet. But I feel like there's some buzzing going on in that ecosystem, right?
Yeah, no, it's actually fantastic. Every time we've gone out with another stage in that process, we've got more and more inbound from people wanting to work with us across gaming studios, movie studios, brands, the whole gambit of different kinds of audiences that we can start to kind of bring in to experience this technology and bring their stuff to life using it. It's been really fantastic.
That's awesome. So Aaron, it's been like 2 years since we had you on. Tons of stuff going on over the past couple of years. The space is exploding right now. You guys have been up to some amazing things. I think we might even have we have it queued up, kind of a progression of where you guys started from, and where you guys are at right now. And we're super excited to dive into it.
Yeah, so I thought this would be a good precursor to kind of get everything started here. But let's go ahead and listen to this a little bit. See if you want to. Might be a little loud to talk over. It's hard for me to hear the volume on that puppy, but I mean, we'll get into that 54 million raise as well. But I mean, there's a lot packed into this video here.
Yep, we're doing a lot. I mean, I think last year was an incredible year. We got to pull together 11 companies, and that took almost 2 years worth of work to kind of get the structure for bringing those companies together. And then during the year, we brought the teams from those companies together. And in the midst of that, launched over 30 different products and experiences. I don't think it's very hard to come across, I think, in this space, a team that's built as much groundbreaking stuff and shipped it within, that sort of period of time, in the middle of going through, the cultural and organizational changes that we had to do to pull Futureverse together. So real testament to the strength of the team and my executive and my co-founders coming together and building these great, experiences and technology. And really last year was about setting the foundations for all of the cool things that we can now build on top of that infrastructure. getting all the little bits of technology that underpin every experience that we take out. And I think already this year, we're up to definitely over 10, possibly even go close to 20, product launches and feature releases, and it's only March, with a much more stronger bend towards the experience layer than the kind of underlying technology layer. And so now, getting that engagement from people who can be part of the fun part of this, as opposed to, I don't want to say the boring part, but kind of the necessary part of it. And really ramping up the audiences that are engaging with us and with the content and with the network is going to be the kind of sole highlight of the year, I think.
Yeah, well, the foundational stuff's important, right? Because you got to get that out of the way. And I don't necessarily know if it's
hard,
stuff, but it's like you said, I think it's more. And talking about that too. So when we last talked, this is pre-Futureverse, right? Before everything together. I know. And the funny thing about it, what was amazing was you had talked a lot. I'd gone back and looked at that interview. You talked about what your plans were and what you were going to do, and you blew it away. You achieved far more. Like you a little bit, like you were like, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff that Aaron's going to do, but you blew it away. I mean, like you said, bringing all this together is incredible. Could you talk a little bit to like how, a lot of folks, in this community to know, XRP community, talk a little bit about, Ripple's involvement, how they became a partner, and how XRP is used in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think a little kind of Kiwi guy coming from New Zealand, from a backyard, rural town, I'm used to being underestimated, and I think people have done that consistently with us. And now I think maybe they're starting to realize that they shouldn't do that. And we haven't even really kind of cranked into some of the really exciting stuff that's going to come in later this year and the years beyond. And so we'll just keep doing what we do, which is build and prove everyone wrong. And so thanks to everyone out there that's been on this journey with us and kind of seen through that and supported us on the way. But yeah, that partnership has been really critical and crucial. I think before we even press the go button on bringing together those companies and to create the Futureverse, we started having conversations with the team over at Ripple and Monica Long in particular, and kind of figuring out whether a partnership would work, because we really felt that the way we wanted to go about approaching building the stack, including the root network, we needed to have a strong partner who was well recognized in the space, that had technology that we could leverage, that we could connect to that ecosystem. And we went through like lots of choices at that time, because we had such a great thing going with the content ecosystem that we'd been building. We got the opportunity to talk to pretty much everyone out there, and we just really felt at the time that this was the best partner for us. And that's proven true. Through the whole process of bringing these companies together, we've had nothing but extremely professional support during that time, through what seemed like doomsday for the content and NFT market. They again, strong hands at the wheel, seeing the long-term vision, and coming out the other side. In the middle of, we made these decisions, before the SEC's process had concluded, and so we were making a bet as much on the leadership and the team at Ripple as we were on ourselves. And again, kind of proven, we had lots of people telling us not to do that, but we trusted our gut and trusted the people that we were working with there, and came out on the right side of the ledger. So it's been a fantastic partnership, and it continues to be to this day. Really great team over there on the partner side of the business that works with us to create connections and grow the partners that we're working with, that are interested in working with XRPL community, and great advice in the board meetings from Marcus, who's now on the board at Futureverse. It's been a really fantastic decision in hindsight, to have made, and really excited about the continuing kind of value we can bring to the broader XRPL and XRP ecosystem through what we're doing.
That's fantastic. And so talk a little bit about the root network and like a little bit how XRP is actually utilized in the ecosystem.
Yeah, so um, the root network is really designed as the hub of the open metaverse. That's its kind of job, is to provide the ability for those who are creating media, content, and consumer-focused applications to create those things in a way that are interoperable. That's our kind of key underlying mantra, is that to make content ownership relevant, it needs to be interoperable. There's no point in owning a token, to a piece of content if it can't be interoperable. That'd be like owning a dog that lives in your neighbor's garage. And so the other half of Web3 content ownership is interoperability. And that's really what the root network is about. And it's about enabling that connectivity between different chains and different applications to understand content in the same way. And so that makes it simple for developers to build interoperable content using these tools. And how we connect to XRPL in particular is multi-layered. So at the base layer, the root network uses XRP as its default gas token. So the root network itself is powered by XRP in the same way that XRPL is. In order to move anything on the root network or create transactions or issue smart contracts, all that kind of stuff, you use XRP to do that. Now, we obscure that from the end users because one of the cool things about Root is that it's designed with user experience in mind. And so if you're a user coming in to play a game or experience and the game coin of that game, and you're interacting with that, you don't have to think about gas. You just use that coin and that will kind of, in the background, transform that into an XRP funded transaction on the network using the any token gas economy. But all of the underlying kind of processes on Root are powered by XRP. Then we have like protocol integration. So we support the XLS20 standard on the Root network, which is the NFT standard for XRPL. And I think we're actually by far the largest, contributor to XLS20s in the world, with over 4 million of them minted. And so that's kind of been a core piece of how we've built the technology and Root network. We have support for a wide range of standards, and XLS20 is a native standard that we support on the Root network. Then we have a bridge, so you can bring XRP across from XRPL into the Root network and back the other way. And assuming the amendment goes live for the AMM, you'll be able to source liquidity from XRPL AMM on the Root network on its own DEX built into the network runtime. So all sorts of levels of integration. What that really means is utility. We can now provide so many more things for people to do with their XRP, and so many more reasons to hold and use it, because now you can give superpowers to that token through all of the applications, protocols, contracts, and network activities on Root.
Do you think
that's what's interesting? Sorry, in terms of what you're talking about is true interoperability. So if you talk a little bit about the fact that Root is actually an ERC20 token
as well, yeah,
right, and then you're interacting interoperably, across the XLS20 using XRP, using the XRPL, and there's not a lot of platforms that are actually integrating in real time, what you're talking about.
No, and not to that level of sophistication, I think, as well. And I think this is a new thing for the XRP community, this kind of multi-chain type environment. It's been a monolith type approach in the past, and now we're starting to see layers come into it. And so people are getting their heads around what that means, but ultimately it just means more utility and more people interacting with that. the users that are coming on board and using these cool new content-driven applications are, surreptitiously becoming holders of XRP, because the gas underneath the ecosystem is using that token, whether they know it or not. And ideally they don't. This is one of the cool things about the way we're approaching building technology, is that it should feel like magic, and for users, they should just be having this fun experience, and they don't actually have to care what the infrastructure is. There'll be a bunch of people who do care. These are the kind of core crypto community that care about this stuff, but your everyday users don't care, and they shouldn't have to care. And that's kind of the mission here, is to get more and more people use it without knowing.
What do you do about explain kind of the gas fees, since you're an ERC20, and if you can dig a little bit more into that, because just overall typical experience with an ERC20 and trying to move it, there's always a lot of gas fees involved in it, and it's typically hard to move and the full utility of it.
So Root is its own layer 1, even though it can act as a layer 2 to something like to XRPL and to Ethereum. So we support same kind of integration to Ethereum. So on Root, the Root token isn't an ERC20. It's a native token on the Root network, and it uses the generic assets runtime. So anyone can go and spin up their own native token on Root, and that uses the core network runtime. We actually put out a post the other day about how to spin up your own meme coins on the Root network, and we've seen a lot of people go out there and having fun doing that. No code, just go and kind of start to be creative. When you take Root to Ethereum, then it can become an ERC token in the same way that other tokens that are built natively on ETH, it becomes an ERC. And so if you're moving Root on Ethereum, then it has all of those kind of benefits and downsides, particularly gas cost, when you're moving it on ETH. But those don't actually apply when you're natively on Root. And the reason for doing that, again, is to provide more interoperability. People can go and take Root and use it in applications on those other networks, and integrations to exchanges. So people are already integrated natively to Ethereum, to the Ethereum ecosystem. They can publish the ERC20 token and not have to do a direct network integration to start off with. So it builds liquidity for the overall ecosystem. We'll be able to do the same back onto XRPL shortly as well. So Root will be able to be on XRPL as a coin on XRPL. And so you can have two-way traffic going both ways between XRPL and the Root network, either XRP coming in and out or Root going in and out. In fact, possibly any token that then is subsequently built on the Root network could transition across that way and be on both chains. So again, all about maximizing interoperability. And one of the reasons we chose to work within the XRP ecosystem and have XRP on the network was because of those cheap gas costs, and making sure that we could allow applications to scale without having to have, hefty transaction fees. And I think you're seeing a lot of the broader NFT community now, with the price of ETH going the way that it is, getting frustrated by the fact that they can't really do much with their assets, because it costs so much to move them around and to interact with contracts and stuff like that. And so having that kind of relatively lower cost for doing those activities on the Root network, because of the way that XRP is implemented and the low transaction fees on XRPL, makes it really kind of differentiated in terms of a usable proposition.
Jeff, I love the idea of having a badass Yeti token and coming back over to the XRP. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. That could be something pretty interesting. So, Aaron, so right now there's 4 tokens. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about those 4 tokens? To sort of make
So there's the gas token we talked about earlier, kind of XRP, and then we have within the Futureverse ecosystem 3 protocol tokens. So there's the Root token, which is core network token, and its job is to maintain the security of the Root network, and to and to be used in the staking, protocol. So Root is a proof of stake network. So you can stake your Root. That helps secure the network, and then you earn block rewards from your staking activities. That's kind of the core function of Root. It's a network protocol token. Then we have 2 other protocol tokens that are designed for 2 different kinds of use cases. Silo, which is designed for primarily as a data token. And then the kinds of data that we can put on top of the Silo network are things like your social graph, who your friends are and who you're connected to, data about events and notifications, the data about your NFTs, the data associated with storing the memories in our intelligence protocol. So any kinds of data and data events, oracles, for example, all of that stuff is designed to work within Silo. And it has its own token because it's its own network. It's actually a layer to the Root network, optimized for storing content and sending messages. So good for data and oracles, basically. And then we have ASTO, which is the intelligence protocol. And ASTO is all about bringing artificial intelligence to content. So whether that's generative models that are being built by our team, we have several foundational models of our own for content generation, whether it's games that leverage intelligence mechanics so that you can train AIs and have them compete inside of interesting games for you, or whether it's making your avatars intelligent inside of worlds and experiences. All of those things that are connected to intelligence sit within the ASTO protocol. So they're all doing quite different jobs, but they're all protocol tokens. And those are the 3 things that make up kind of the core ecosystem on top of that gas XRP token.
Nice. So you mentioned before that you minted 4 million. So talk a little bit about that. I think that's mind blowing. I don't think if you really think about how much 4 million NFTs is, that's a lot. So talk a little bit about how did that come about on the XL?
Yeah. So that was I think a good majority of those were minted through the partnership we have with FIFA for the FIFA AI League. And so as people create new teams, those get created as NFTs, and then they're kind of minted using the XLS20 standard. I think at the time when the game was really cranking around the last cup that FIFA held, we were something in the order of 5% of all traffic on XRPL as a result of this. And so it was pretty big. And for this one little company, that's kind of sitting there amongst all of the other stuff that's happening in the broader XRPL ecosystem, and being able to kind of put both networks through their paces to be able to kind of handle that kind of traffic was cool to see it actually paying off.
Jeff?
No.
I thought you jump in a little bit here, but
no, I'm just absorbing, everything that's going on. I'm trying. Yeah. Sorry. I'm just trying to, I'm looking at the development of everything you've been working on, just trying to kind of interpret everything that you're working on, and putting it into a real world use case. So, I'm thinking about, and sorry, kind of get lost in the thought of this, but typically, we bring somebody on and we start talking about NFTs and we start talking about different platforms, and maybe there's a payment infrastructure, maybe there's a future kind of utility at some point in time that we're talking about, but now we're talking about actual real live situations like FIFA, and and beyond that, and putting it into something that's available right now. And it's exciting. And then I kind of go a little bit beyond that, and I've thought about this a long time, as this space in gaming starts to develop, and we start looking at the possibilities of what a gamer can do, as they start, earning rewards, and they start building their characters, and they start, and then it's actually something of value,
Mm.
you know. And now I'm thinking about this whole FIFA thing, and I kind of get lost because I was thinking about my son, you know, spending all this time playing FIFA, you know, and all the, you know, hours and hours and hours, you know, with his friends online. And I'm thinking about, you know, at this point, what can happen from an earned perspective of what they could, you know, what could, you know, what could he benefit from, you know, from this point, you know, this point forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the really important thing is that Web3 has done a good job of um, delivering the first part of Web3 gaming, which is ownership. You know, that core thing where if you do spend hours and hours playing something, that you can own the thing, you know, that's created through that process, which is this collectible that has all this you know, all the time you've put into it, the items that you've won or created, the achievements of that character, all of those things can now be owned. What it's done a bad job of is making that ownership meaningful.
Right.
And so that's really what we're trying to solve with Futureverse, is to give meaning to ownership through interoperability. So if I can own something, cool. If I can own it and take it with me to other experiences, then it becomes meaningful. And so that's the really tough part of delivering the promise of Web3 gaming to gamers. And I think that's why it's never been done before. There's so many moving parts that have to come together to make that true end to end, that you have to be an expert across multiple domains of technology to deliver it. And that's the advantage, I guess, we've had with Futureverse, is being able to pull together 11 companies. I think now we're counting up to almost 15 companies that we have, you know, created major transactions with, that have expertise in all of these different domains. And we can see the little bits of connectivity between all of those things and say, okay, to make that process interoperable, work end to end, here's all the bits that need to come together. And we're kind of uniquely positioned to be able to do that. And so that's what we're really excited about demonstrating, is how all of those bits come together. And for the first time, I think, show gamers at large that Web3 ownership means something beyond trading, you know, because that's really where that friction has come in between traditional gaming and communities in Web3, is that I think in general gamers kind of like the idea of ownership because they put their heart and soul into these things. I mean, I spent countless hours playing World of Warcraft as a kid, right? And there's investment in there, emotional and otherwise. But then when it became about financial, you know, aspects of things, it lost the fun. And those things are still important. It's not to say that, you know, Roblox and Fortnite and World of Warcraft don't have financial kind of economics inside of them. There isn't value associated with things. But when it became all about the financial, it turned gamers off. And if we can bring the fun back through interoperability and show them that you can now do this thing that you couldn't do before, you can have this thing, you can put that time into it, you can put your emotion into it, and now you can take it with you, then we'll see, I think, a wholesale change in the attitude towards Web3 technology as it plays a role inside of gaming. And that's really the mission of Futureverse.
Yeah. So here's the question to follow up on that. So the assumption that when you're earning, you're taking the skin, right? You're taking just one component of it.
Yeah.
So here's the question: is it possible to take the attributes in terms
Yeah.
of specific skill sets of a specific item that you're taking with you? I guess that's one part of the equation. That's one part of the question. So whatever that item, whatever the game might be, you're not just taking the appearance of it, but you're taking the full attribute of whatever that item is.
Mm.
And then can a third party introduce similar item to then start earning in that gaming environment to be able to sell their creations in that environment?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to understand is we're approaching this a little bit differently to how most people approach building metaverse, because most people start with the premise of an application. here's the metaverse I'm building, as if you can build a metaverse. We have this view that the metaverse is just the internet. It's the internet gaining some new kind of superpowers that make it a more immersive space and a more converged space for user experience. And so that going out there and saying you're building a metaverse is like going and saying you're going to build an internet. It's kind of stupid. So that's the first thing. And when you think about the metaverse in that way, then the metaverse becomes less about the application that the user's involved in at that particular time and more about the data. And so if you think of like a lot of the foundational stuff that we've been building in Futureverse, it's about making data understandable by immersive environments in an interoperable way. And so when you have that character and it starts to get these achievements and to collect these items that go with it, all of that, if we can make it data that's interoperable, then that portability becomes a reality. No matter what application is built down the track, that application can interpret that data in whatever way they want. So let's say I go into game A and I get a sword in that game, and that has some data around that sword, some attributes associated with it. And I go into another game, and that game isn't a fighting game. The data and the attributes could still be available to the other game to render it in a different way or make it have a different kind of utility. And if you look at the paper we just put out about Altered State Machine, which is our AI protocol, well worth a read to anyone out there who wants to understand where the metaverse technology is going and where artificial intelligence can really have an impact on the metaverse. You'll see it's all about the data and making data as accessible to AI so they can interpret it in different ways depending on the application that you're in. So that's been a big focus. And over the last few days, you've seen us playing around with some of our AI tools. If you've been following the Hot Dog King online and his escapades through the metaverse, that's really what it's about. It's about taking those tools and allowing people to have fun with the content, but doing it in a way that makes the data portable and interoperable with these different applications. And so now one of the cool things we've been able to do at Futureverse is turn content assets into data that can be understood by Unreal, by Unity, etc., and so that you can have this one single bit of data that can go into these different environments and behave in a way that is unique to that environment.
Yeah, I think too. I think it's probably a little bit of a paradigm shift, but the whole idea, everybody was always building these siloed systems, right? We've seen siloed systems since the internet first started because that was the first version of the internet. Second version, now we come up with Web3. And I think the way you're thinking about it's the right way. By the way, there he is, right there. Hot dog.
All hail.
All hail the hot dog. And then he's in the game as well. He's like running through, but I thought I'd just pull him up real quick. But
if you don't know who the Hot Dog King is, I was just playing around with one of our AI generation tools and typed in Hot Dog King, and that's what came up. So that's yeah, that's what AI thinks the Hot Dog King is.
That's one of the greatest things about AI too, is people don't realize that when you're prompting, especially no matter what you prompt, it's like you could give that same prompt to somebody else, it might come up with a different result, right?
Yeah, totally.
They might add one keyword different, and that's the beauty of AI, right? It kind of takes your imagination and turns it into something, but you could have probably get more. But I love the brilliance is just that was all it was to take to be able to generate that Hot Dog King, right? 3D character, be able to walk around, move them around, and have them interoperable. I read the white paper, and I have to say the white paper blew my mind. ASM, to me, that was like a turning point. I'm pretty steeped in AI, work for an AI company.
Right.
To me, that was like the next sort of, I don't know, it hit me because I was like, whoa, this is it. It kind of pulling it all together in a beautiful sort of way, like having that unique, data layer, which I think a lot of people are missing. And I think the vision of what you guys thought of having it open, right? People love open source software. Like, hey, is it open source? Is it open source? Can we contribute to it? Can we look at the code? But they don't really, they sort of imagine this whole metaverse. You had Meta doing their, Facebook doing their version of it. You have somebody else doing their version of it, right? Some gaming sort of metaverses. And guess what happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
So the ones that I think that really have the best chance for survival is joining this open protocol.
I think the protocol layer openness always wins. I think if we look, at the history of the internet, that's always been the case. And while it might not feel like that at the application layer, because we have these big tech giants that kind of own a lot of the data, and can build cool user experiences because of that data that they've stolen from you. The fact that the internet exists and works as well as it does is because TCP/IP is open and SMTP is open and all those things that sit, and Linux is open. Without those open standards and open protocols, the internet wouldn't exist. And so if you look at things from that perspective, openness will eventually win in this domain too. And so that's why it's really important that these protocols are built on community infrastructure like Web3 infrastructure, so that they can be truly open. There will still be winners and losers in the application layer, but the great thing is that if your social graph is portable, if your content is portable, if the things you value are portable, then applications have to treat you well. Because if they shit on you like the big tech companies have, you can just take it somewhere else. And that's kind of been the problem, is that it's been hard to move out of these environments, because even if they do treat us badly, and even if they are bad for society, because all of our stuff is trapped inside of there. And if we can kind of de-aggregate those two things, the data layer and the application layer, then anyone can build the metaverse experience they want. And if they offer the best value to consumers, then consumers will use it. And if they screw them over, they'll move somewhere else. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with this technology.
Let me ask you a question on this, and just something I've been thinking about for a long time when it comes to the metaverse, and I'm sure a lot of other people thinking about the same thing. What do you see is the full utility or the full use case of a metaverse, other than and we've
What's the
seen
end
this
game?
yeah, what's the end game? And I'm looking kind of at this question from Oscar. He's like, what's your marketing strategy for adoption? But okay, that's one part, is the adoption of it, and how do you get people to do it? But what's the real end game of a metaverse? Everyone keeps talking about it, and we see land, and we see storefronts, and we see all this stuff popping up, and we've seen the Sony PlayStation experience, and they tried that, and people kind of gather and walk around and see stuff, and kind of came and went. And I'm seeing, I kind of have my ideas of where this could go, but I'd love to, hear from you as you're developing it, and you're putting, a lot into this. And what do you see as the end game, and how do you get adoption?
Yeah, I think to answer the first question about the end game, I look like kind of outlined that a little bit earlier, in a light bit of detail, which is this idea that the metaverse is the internet. So a lot of people in their brains, they kind of hear metaverse and they're like, oh, it's some gaming thing over there. It's
Right.
It's a virtual world. It's VR. It's AR, and it's really not. The metaverse is about two things: immersive convergence. So what does that mean? So that's like bringing together disparate parts of a user experience into one more cohesive journey for a user. So if you're in any domain on the internet, media, communications, banking, finance, e-commerce, whatever it is, whatever you're doing online, those things have historically been silos, siloed experiences that you go to this place to do that thing as a user. And if you need to do another thing connected with that, you have to go to another place to do that. And so what the metaverse journey as a society is about making those things less separate and more converged. Really simple example: social media. We used to have telecommunications and we used to have media companies, and that's how you did those things. And then social media comes along, and now it's bigger than all the telecommunications companies and all the media companies combined. And so they can converge those two user experiences into a new user experience. Same thing's happening with commerce. Commerce used to be a thing you did in a store, then you did it in an online store, and then there were aggregators like Amazon, and now social commerce is the fastest growing kind of commerce. It's a kind of commerce that's more immersive. It's like this, it's less about browsing on a website, it's more immersive, and it's integrated into the social media experience. And so the internet is progressing down this path, and that of immersive convergence, and that's the underlying idea of the metaverse. When people kind of think about, okay, well, it's going to be like virtual environments, of course it will. When the metaverse hype started, it was really hard to build virtual environments. And so the price of Unity developers and Unreal developers went through the roof. There were scaling problems, in creating content and hosting content and creating these worlds that were, compatible with each other. And so while people intuitively thought the internet should be an immersive space, everyone got that idea. Making it a reality was very hard to do. And what we've now seen is that AI is making it simpler for anyone to create those immersive experiences. The stuff we were playing around on Twitter, on X with yesterday, showing how an average person can go and create content using these tools, means that it'll become easier for anyone to create immersive experiences. And every time we've made it easy to create a kind of content, it's become the default kind of content on the internet. So if you think AI GC is going to be huge and AI is the future and there's all this rage in crypto around AI at the moment, if you believe that, which you should, by the way, you also have to be a believer that the metaverse is where that content will live. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is what we talked about earlier. The thing that's different about the open metaverse is this notion of ownership of data, ownership of content, ownership of value, ownership of my social graph, all of those things, and making of my digital identity, and making those portable between different applications, so that we can have this universe of content built by lots of people, interacting with AIs built by lots of people, but anchored in this kind of portable data that I can carry about me and the things I love in between these applications. And then you get the metaverse. What's been hard to do in the past is that interoperability layer to make that idea of transitioning between applications seem seamless and feel special and magical. And that's really the ingredient that we've been working on fixing.
I might be trying to simplify this.
And the second part of the question, in terms of adoption, there's a well-trodden path to growing a platform-based business that every other platform in the world follows. First thing is, drink your own champagne. So use the tools you create yourself. And we did that. We created these great, first-party content applications and collections, and we've got this awesome core community built around that are engaging with those things and testing them out and making sure that they work, and they get rewarded as part of that process with the FutureQuest Future Score system. The next layer is you go and pick some big guys, people who have scale, that can help you onboard users, that you can help them create new experiences with. If you look at the way, say, the first cloud platforms or app stores were built out, Amazon used their own services for Amazon.com before they put those services externally to create AWS. So they created like the internal need first, and then they started to put that out there. What they did then is got some big guys using those platforms to give them some scale and create some gravity around them. And then they went and go and chase the broader developer ecosystem. And so you can take that approach for developing platforms and developing audiences. We're in the second phase of that for both these things. Now we've got these big titles. We announced the partnership with Warner Brothers for Ready Player One, Reebok, FIFA, all these big brands who we're partnered with, and plenty more to come. That are now going to bring their users to the ecosystem, that have been powered through experiences we've created with our technology. So not only are we creating gravity for the platform, we're creating more users. And in the next stage, and even now, people out there in the community are starting to build on top of these tools, platforms, experiences, and get their communities activated. So that's the path. Make stuff that's cool, that's magic. Use that stuff to build your own products with. Once you're comfortable with that process, start to work with some big guys, get some more gravity around it, and that gives the reason for everyone else to come in and join the party.
I wanted to jump in some questions from some of the people out there. So Fire Badger Gaming said, "So when will the Roblox Fortnite community actually realize that they're part of the Futureverse family?"
I think if you look at the way that both of those companies seem to be organizing their roadmaps, they kind of understand that that openness will win too. And so the underlying ideas of how we're creating this technology should mean that we all end up in the same point, that people can create content easily using these tools, that content is transportable and interoperable between these applications and experiences. And we're certainly, driving down that path. You'll start to see some of our first interoperable content coming out shortly for Roblox and Fortnite. And so I think if we win, if we're successful, these open protocols and standards that we're creating will be the same standards that everyone's using to create content and make it truly open.
Yeah, one of the things you said, Aaron, which was key when you talked about, being able to transport your data, your identity, some of the, whatever you've made an investment in, and then also giving a use case, right? Making that valuable support. Of course, our badass Yetis are pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
In that sense. So we were like, oh, the badass Yetis. Okay, so then they can get utility, right? And will we see some integration into maybe like Zaman, which is an XRP like styled wallet? Will we see something in the future for bridging?
Yeah. So not to kind of spoil the punch, but I think we'll be announcing the first stage of integration with Zaman up at Wave. So
Right.
we'll be able to show people now that they can participate as a first-class citizen using that wallet infrastructure, and build the first types of things that you can do inside of the Futureverse ecosystem and with FuturePass using Zaman. And then look at the kind of 2 phases after that for further integration and further capability. So come along if you're in town, or listen along and see the first kind of announcement around what exactly you'll be able to do and where the roadmap's going. Really excited about this one because I think it'll make it a whole lot simpler for those who are in the XRP ecosystem to interact with our network and platform.
Yeah, we'll be able to actually see you in person at the Wave of Innovation at next week. So this is going to be pretty exciting. And again, what's nice is a lot of people would like to go. Sometimes they're a little bit far away, but they do have virtual passes that are available, which will allow you to do it. And then just jumping into how Jeff and I have been participating too. I want to talk a little bit about these party bears. So this whole idea of being able to these swappables where I've got my base bear here, but then I can actually add. And so talk a little bit about this, because this is one of the coolest things I've seen when it comes to an actual NFT ownership.
Yeah, so Swappable's engine is a part of the stack, and the Party Bears experience was the first time we leveraged Swappable's engine. Essentially, what we wanted to do was to solve another type of interoperability problem, which is how do you get content that has been created as an accessory or a wearable, something like that, to interop with content, say like an avatar, and do that in a scalable way. And so there's two phases to this. The first phase was working out how do you create the connectivity and the rules between avatars and accessories, for example, because you might not want all kinds of content to be compatible with other kinds of content. So you could, for example, you wouldn't want to bring an AK-47 into Harry Potter's experience. That would be kind of silly. Maybe you would, but trust me, the people at Harry Potter wouldn't want that happening. So you need some kind of way to create those rules, and then you need some way to create the connections so that when my character is wearing this thing, every other application knows that it is. So that when we talk about this open metaverse of different applications, they all have the single source of truth for what your avatar looks like. What has happened historically is that stuff has happened at the application layer. Mm-hmm. So I could go into app A and put on a hat, bear with hat, for example, and that would be cool inside that application. But over here, it wouldn't have been represented in application B. Also, if I was a creator creating on chain A some accessories, trying to make those interoperable and bundleable with an avatar in chain B was hard to do. And so we had to kind of step back and look at the way that both data and rules and connections were being made between collectibles and their avatars in this case. And we created the asset register and the Swappables engine. So the asset register is where the data exists about that describes those things, and also where the rules exist about what's compatible with what, or what can connect with what. That asset register lives on the root network, and the data is stored on the silo network. And then we have the Swappables engine, which is the other side of the equation. It's what reads the data and makes it visually available to the end user. And so within the experience, you can have different collectibles that live on different chains, interoperable with each other, and attachable to a character, and have that persistently available to every application that views that character. So it's a really cool tool. Stage 2, which the team's working on now, is making it possible to create a single accessory asset, say a jacket, that will fit any character that's made with our dot tools. So you can build a single avatar, and you can and have that connect to any accessory that's created, or you can build a single accessory and connect to any avatar that's created, no matter the shape, size, form, all of those kinds of things.
Assuming with limitation, like you said, depending on the platform, with certain rules, certain exception, depending on the gaming experience that they're going into. Let me ask you this question, and I've kind of been thinking about this also for a long time, in terms of how you then apply everything that you're talking about. We have the gaming environment, we have a metaverse environment. Think about it from just a real simplistic perspective of a brick and mortar mall experience, right? And we want interoperability. We go into a mall environment, and we have all these anchor stores, and all those anchor stores could represent, gaming experiences or buying experiences. But then is that kind of how you're thinking about kind of the metaverse existing? And then how do you go from one mall metaverse experience to another metaverse experience? Are they going to be completely siloed because we're trying to end this silo experience within the metaverse, or is there a way to become interoperable between these solutions?
That's the whole point, right? So the mall analogy is kind of good in that it kind of paints a picture of a place you can go to where a bunch of different things can exist. And actually, Ernie likes this analogy, and so does Dan. And I think it's a good understanding for the user experience, right? Which is, you want users to be able to come through a set of doors and to be able to go and interact with a bunch of stuff with a standard set of user experience tools. My credit card works in every store, for example. And so that's kind of at one layer what the internet should be like, right? I should be able to go online and interact with anything that's online with the same set of underlying credentials and tools. That's not what it's like, because right now I don't go through a door to experience the internet. I have to go through door after door after door after door, right? Because things like my identity are not portable between every application. There's kind of these fiefdoms. My social graph is not, portable between those things. And so we're trying to break those things down. There is no Futureverse app. There is the collection of interoperable applications, and anyone who builds on our tools can build another application that's connected. But the user still has to only go through one door. As long as they, create their own digital identity in a connectable way, and like we're doing now with FuturePass, you can use those same protocols as a developer to add to that experience for your users. We're not trying to replace MetaMasks and the Zamins and others. They authenticate with those wallets, but we make it possible for people to come in with their stuff and own their stuff and connect to any application that wants to connect to that. And so it's like the mall experience in a sense, but imagine the mall contains everything in the world. And that's really what we're trying to do. And on top of that, each store is part of that mall, but they're not beholden to the mall. For the mall example to work, someone owns the mall and you're a tenant inside of it. If you want to do something weird and wild and wacky, that's outside the rules of the mall, you can't do it. They'll shut you down. They'll kick you out. But in this mall, every application is its own store that anyone can access by walking through the same front door.
That's amazing. Hey, before we're getting close on time here, I know that I want, I know you probably have a hard stop in like probably a minute. Because I was hoping we get to the open trailer, because that's very cool as well.
Go. Yep.
You want to play that?
We can run on a bit.
Okay, let's do this. Let's play this. This is cool as hell. Okay, that was absolutely badass right there. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that, how that came together, and also too, look at this right here. This is something pretty interesting here. What we stop it right over there. What do we got right there? That looks like a fluff. Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it looks. I see a little.
There's a few Easter eggs in the
like
trailer
that.
if you're looking hard enough.
Yeah, no, and the legacy gaming system is just a nice, beautiful
that.
touch, right?
Look at that Atari. That's an amazing Atari controller.
But yeah, you got the key right there. You got the little fluffer. Anyway, talk a little about this open trailer. What kind of talk a little bit about how that came together and what went into it.
Yeah, so I mean, open is, I guess, how would I call it? Our kind of flagship experience within the ecosystem that we are building. And so it's a AAA quality, open metaverse gaming experience, built using the underlying kind of technology that Futureverse has been building, and collaborating with Walker Labs, who's a extremely talented, you can see from the quality in that gaming studio based up in Europe. They have some of the best, I think, easily some of the best people in gaming working in Web3 right now, with experienced executive producers from Fortnite and creative directors and developers and product owners from all of the major studios: Mojangs, Minecrafts, Candy Crush, EA, Roblox, Fortnite, you name it. So extremely strong and powerful team. We've been working with them for the last year to pull together an investment and partnership in what we're doing, and to take what they had been building as Walker Labs and empower it with our technology and with the IP that we've got under our hood, including Ready Player One. And so Open will be a new type of open metaverse battle royale experience. It's going to be I think, a really fun game to play and really showcase the power of Web3 in gaming in a way that hasn't been done before, both because of the ideas we've been talking around interoperability, but also it's the first time that a AAA gaming experience with AAA IP has been created with Web3 technology. And I think it's the best hope that Web3 gaming has to cross the chasm to mainstream gamers and show what's really possible in a new, fresh, and exciting way, with a real focus on how do you create a new, fun game that everyone wants to kind of play in, that's a high quality experience for people to join. So really excited to keep showing the community more about what's under the hood at Open, and the other partnerships and IP that we're bringing to life within the Open ecosystem, and really provide something new and interesting for the competitive gaming community out there.
And you mentioned Walker World too. Walker World, what's exciting, the third kingdom. Okay, to be able to, so this is interesting. So there's a lot of root up for grab, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea that you can buy these land parcels, and then you can go ahead and sort of like mine. So what I love about this concept is that you get people who are like, the really early adopters to have somewhat of an advantage, right? So depending on the land parcel they get, or what do you call the miner, those little avatar things, those little buzzy guys?
The buzzies?
Well, no, not the buzzies, but the little, the name escapes me. But the whole idea of being able to mine a lot of root that's up for grabs, and if you come in a little bit later, depending on where you come in at the game level, but you get a distinct advantage early on.
Yeah. So there's two kind of layers of gaming, I guess. Here, you've got Open, which is like the big mass market tent peg, AAA playable game environment experience. And then you have the third kingdom, which is really about, growing the Web3 ecosystem around what we're building, and also providing a way to create and mine and find resources that can be interoperable in these other experiences. So if you think about gaming development, one of the hardest things to do as a independent game developer is build up a sustainable economy within inside of your game, and building game economics is an extremely hard thing to do. So one of the things that underpins what we think will be a really fun strategy simulation game in the third kingdom, that is now collaborating with all the major Web3 creative IP out there. You can see in my background Doodles and Cool Cats and Pudgies and Walkers and a whole bunch of, and Deadfellas, and all the friends that we're bringing together in this cool gaming experience. What players will actually be doing is competing for a share of rewards, big rewards on the line. Season 1, I think, is over $30 million worth of rewards. And mining and creating resources that can be part of this material world that exists below all of the gaming experiences. And so we're creating a bootstrap economy for game developers to build on top of. And so when they're getting new users into those gaming experience that could be connected to the Readyverse and the Readyverse launcher, or to Open, or to all the other gaming experiences that will come out on top of these platforms, they now have this kind of bootstrapped resource economy that exists, that they can take things up into their game experience to give those players who are coming in there something of value to start to interact with from the get-go. And so it's really about creating the substrate of interoperable economies that can exist inside multiple gaming environments, done in a way that's like fun, that you can participate in and play this really fun game and use the collectibles that you have as part of that process.
The prisms are what I was thinking about.
Amazing.
The prisms, that was one that was like escaping my mind. The prisms.
Prisms are like mining rigs, and so they're like unlock resources within the surreal scapes. Surreal scapes are the land, and by having a prism, you get to unlock more resources and higher quality resources, and those turn into in-game rewards that you can claim a share of root tokens later for.
Yeah, it's pretty
Amazing.
cool.
It's
Exciting.
amazing to see the in-game economics.
Yeah,
I mean, it's this
it's
whole
kind of similar
direction
to
we're
what we're
moving in.
doing with Seekers. So Seekers, you know, those who've been following along this Seekers, that what we're really trying to do there is gamify building network infrastructure. You know, it's really important that if we want these things to be decentralized, that we have as many people as possible out there running infrastructure in these things. It's one of the reasons we want to run a node in the XRPL community, is because we need to contribute back to the infrastructure of decentralization. And so Seekers, the Seekers experience is about gamifying, creating community infrastructure and taking it away from something that has historically been, you know, a more technical focused thing and things that developers or companies get involved in, to something that everyday users can get involved with and make that really simple and fun process. So we're doing the same kind of thing with the Third Kingdom. You know, this really cool, fun game where you can play to win lots of, you know, cool rewards, but at the same time, you're actually building the substrate of the metaverse resource economy.
Right. I would love to see the badass Yetis running around and wreaking havoc.
Yeah. Well, we're playing with some of the stuff you guys sent us and see if we can get the models to transform those little things. Once we get it to a good enough quality, we'll let you guys know.
That's super exciting. It's super exciting. So as we wrap up, like last time we had you on, you gave us a glimpse of what the next, you know, what was in store. And this is pre-Futureverse. So if we had to ask you the same question, like if you're looking 2 more years into the future, what how can you even like live up to like what you've already done, right? So you already shipped all these products, you brought these 11 companies together. Like it's a lot, right? And there's nobody. When you said there's nobody out there doing it, there's not even anybody close. I don't care
Yeah.
what style they're working in, what gaming company, it doesn't matter. But what do you see? Like, what's your roadmap look like? If you could kind of, not that you're gonna nail it down or give away anything, but like, where do you see sort of your team and what the next 2 to 5 years might look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, to answer that simply, you know, Ernie painted the picture for us and Steven Spielberg visualized it, and we're building it. You know, I think that's
Mhm.
really what we're trying to do, is make that a reality, in every way that's kind of represented there, and give, at the same time, do it in a way that transforms how humans interact with the internet. You know, that's the goal we want to achieve, is if we're successful, we'll create these fun magic experiences that get people to think about who they are and how they interact with the internet and how infrastructure on the internet works and how their data is being used in AI and all these kind of really important things for society. You talked about earlier, you know, what's this notion of the metaverse, and I think it's really important for people to understand that you're in it. You know, the average human spends over 45 years of their life looking at a screen. There is no digital economy that is separate from the economy. There is no digital society that is separate from society. And the things that happen in the digital space matter, and they impact us in the real physical world. And so we have to make really good, smart choices about how society evolves in this metaverse, which is this digitally infused to society and economy that we exist inside of. And what we're trying to do is create fun ways to bring people in to the right side of that track, so that they end up in a place where they have more control of their destiny in that future digital society.
Aaron, this is it's amazing. You know, seeing where you've come in the past 2 years. Like Chip was saying, we really look forward to seeing what you're doing in the next 2 years. You're definitely on the forefront with this technology. Really, you know, really impressed. And I know we're going to be even more impressed in 2 years as we see, you know, everything uh, unfold and we see all, you know, full adoption. Really wanted to thank you for coming on with us, you know, taking time out of your busy schedule to, you know, kind of go through and detail everything that you've been working on has just been really outstanding.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm glad to have been able to start somewhat this with you guys, and then come back and show you where we are, and hopefully, you know, we'll do another one in the near future with some more progress and some more exciting stories about how we're going to take it forward.
Let's
And I
just not wait
predicted
2
in 1 week's
years.
time. And what? 1 week, do this all over again. See, we're gonna make prediction. Let's see if we can bet some money. So you in real life, as they say, IRL, in real
Yeah.
life, it's gonna be exciting. As you'll grace the stage and sort of lay out a vision for the XRPL Gold Coast event. So
Yeah.
fantastic you coming here.
Oh,
Thanks
that's
for
right.
later. We couldn't get to it all. There's so much to talk about, but you guys have been up to a lot, so we got as much as we could. And thanks for the extra time.
Yeah.
We'll see
No,
you
really
guys.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh, that's
you.
right. We're gonna
Did I lose you, Jeff? Did I lose you? Are you still there,
I
Aaron?
think we lost Jeff.
He was like going to say a really amazing
I know.
point.
It was going to be the best thing he
That
said.
it was the best thing all day. It was like, it's just what happens. But anyway, looking forward to seeing you and catching up.
Yeah,
In less than a
likewise.
week's time, and we'll chat then in real person. Actually, like shake it out, have a drink maybe, and do all this stuff. So cheers, appreciate
Cheers.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Jeff, I don't know what happened to Jeff, so I will wrap this up because Jeff's still on that point. We'll probably get this. Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, all of a sudden everybody froze up. I don't know what happened.
You froze up. We were okay.
I froze up. I'm like,
Aaron and I were like, Aaron, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Jeff froze. And he said,
I
you
froze.
were about to make the best point you ever made right there.
Yeah.
And we're like,
that was going to be the best. I was like, and now I'll never say it ever. I was like,
did you miss my prediction? I predicted we were going to do this all again in less than a week. So
okay, yeah, but that's what I was saying. I was like, that's right. We're going to see you.
Yeah, and it was like, I thought you did it again. I was like, we'll see you. And then you froze up. And there were some amazing comments too, guys. I mean, listen, a lot of great comments. Really appreciate it. You guys brought some really good fire today. Unfortunately, we couldn't really get to everything. We had a whole sort of structure laid out, but I wanted to thank everybody for showing up. A big shout out to Meta Media, to Scott over there, and looking forward, Scotty, to seeing you as well. ASM Future with a Slim Shady. Please freeze up. Please freeze up. That real Slim Shady is Jeff. So, what will we be doing the next 2 years? Probably the same thing. So
exactly the same thing.
Same old thing. I don't know. Jeff and I are going to be together for 32 hours, which has never happened before. So I hope we will never have a whole moment. But 32 hours of travel time.
We're going to be hanging out in the Centurion Lounge in LAX. That's what we're going to do.
That's going to be the best because that'll be like almost like our own private metaverse, Jeff.
That's all we need. What do you need in a metaverse? You need a lounge, you need a bar, and that's it.
You need your laptop. That's about it. Those three things right there, and your mobile device, and you're pretty much set for life. You're pretty much going to do it all. So that's about all you need right there.
Good company and a connection to the outside world and some alcohol, and you're all set.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk to the Seekers either, but there's so much good stuff. They've just done so much. You know what I mean? Time for a beer. That's always a good thing as well.
It is time for a beer.
We're there on Twitch. So yeah, we got to. There's a lot of good questions too, and he hit some of them, which was good. But we ASM just got that TV Smoke Porter reference, a nod to the huge speaker Marty got rocking it backwards while attempting to play his guitar in Doc's garage. But in the beginning of Back to the Future Part 1, yeah, that
was the best.
Yeah, that was good too.
Chip, I just want to say, big shout out to everybody over on the X platform, because we are crushing it over on the X platform between On the Chain, which we monitor, and mine. And I'm the only one that doesn't have the blue check next to it, so we're not attracting as many through mine, but we're crushing it. You're crushing on your personal one. 827 people viewing right now on X, which is awesome. X is blowing up. We have 100 over there on the chain, on the chain X. So just crushing. We're at 1,000, over 1,000 just on X. 1,000 viewers on X right now, live watching us. Come on, YouTube, pick it up, YouTube. Let's get it going on. Let's get some real views over here on YouTube. And we got our viewers over there on Rumble right now also watching. And that's right, Chip. One viewer, just one out of all these people, got one over on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you, Crypto Welp. And we got Brandon Cooper. Hang on. Give a shout out to Brandon Cooper real quick. Brandon Cooper, first time viewer, hanging out with us, hanging out with everybody here on the chain. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over there on YouTube if you're there on YouTube. I don't know what you do on X. You probably got to follow. And if you're over there on Rumble, you do the same thing. You got to follow. That's what you got.
Look, good weather in Brisbane. That's awesome to hear too. That's only an hour north of the Gold Coast, so it's probably the same weather. Gotta love that.
So I was
Exciting.
worried about like 87-degree weather. It's going to be like 70,
It says
70 to
30.
80 degrees. That's what it's going to be over there in the Gold Coast next week. 70 to 80. It's
Go
going to be
Mo.
awesome.
Go Mo. Go Mo. There you go. So, but guys, early adopters, can we make plans to become rich with this? You can make all kinds of plans, Oscar. We make plans all the time, and often they go astray. So we
Always
gotta
making plans. Yeah.
like the plan of this how this interview is going to go, but again, listen, it is what it is. It's always good to have something laid out, but Aaron really kind of gave us a really nice perspective into what's happening in the future and kind of like really nailed down. And this is why I think that
plans.
so many people are signing on as partners. We looked at that partner list. It's crazy. And I know he teased at South by Southwest there's going to be some more people, so it's going to be we're going to have to keep our ears open to see who else is going to be joining. But they're building something very special over there, and it's mind blowing. I really recommend you jump into the ecosystem, and we'll do as much as we can to get our badass Yetis in there as well, and participate too. We didn't even get to the quest or any of that stuff, Jeff. There's so much stuff, but we'll also roll it into next week. We'll talk again on stage and I want to talk a little bit about that. But you can go ahead, guys, if you want to see what's going on at the XRP Gold Coast. I'll just pull this up real quick before we get out of here.
Show everybody what that looks like.
Well, right now it's loading right now, but it says click here if you're not. So there we go right here. So the XRP Gold Coast coming up 4 days away, 4 days, 2 hours, 41 minutes. Here's everybody that's going to be there. Ripple's going to be there. You got 4 people coming from Ripple, Zertmon Project, Evernote, Xspector, Futureverse. I mean, it's all going down. We'll be there on the chain, Merlin, Crypto Law. You have John Deaton's going to be there, XRP.Kevin. There's a lot of different people that are going to be participating in this. But what I want to tell you is that, okay, great. I can't make it there. That's awesome. Click this buy tickets now. I'll drop this in there, guys. For $130, you can watch the entire event from start to finish. You can watch it on yours. You get here it is right here. There it is. There's your 2-day virtual fireside chat, builder series, watch playbacks anytime. You can win a 1 of 25 John Deaton signed books. That's going to be a drawing you'll be automatically entered into, as well as 1 of 3 Crypto Eddie Patreon memberships for a year. And she puts some really good content that she doesn't necessarily post, or you get to hear it first on her Patreon. So it's good stuff, man. So what did I miss, Jeff? Did I miss anything? Did we cover it all?
Covered everything. We're going to be there next week. We're looking forward to it. Apparently, we're emceeing the event, so we're looking forward to that.
Of course we are.
Hope you guys have a great time as MCs of the event. But I was like, a great tie, Chip. We're going to be competing as MCs on the stage. I didn't know.
We're dressing as Yetis, Jeff. So that's going to be fun.
We are dressing up as Yetis, our favorite Yetis. So make sure you guys show up for that, because it'll be a big shock. No, kidding. We're not going to be dressing up as Yetis, but if we did show up as Yetis, that'd be awesome, because that'd be great, because everybody loves the Yetis, right? Mo Meta loves the Yetis. We love the Yetis. And Greg has been down with OTC for 4 years plus HM. I'm not sure what plus HM means. Must mean something, but.
Plus, what are you seeing plus HM?
I don't know what HM means, but it's cool to see.
I see the.
I think this might be the first comment that Greg ever posted in the past 4 years on here. I don't remember seeing Greg's name on here before. So if that's the case, and he's doing the whole Vulcan thing. I
don't know what it means.
That's very cool. But appreciate you, Greg. Appreciate everybody that's on here. You guys are pretty awesome.
Jeff, this is good advice.
Why do I need a Mac? Why now?
So you can join the future, my friend.
Join what future? What do I need the Mac for?
It's amazing to me the people that.
How do you know I don't have a Mac?
Don't worry, SM. Get a Mac. I know you don't have a Mac, because I know, dude. Because I call you for text when my wife's computer has issues, and I'm like, and then you tell me the same thing that I already know, and I'm like, it doesn't fix it. It doesn't fix it.
That plus HM is a flag, but not on our platform. It's not. It has nothing to do with a Mac or
Mr. Freeze. There you go. You can be the villain, Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. I'm Mr. Microsoft PC Freeze. That's it.
And there was a comment there from earlier that I put up there.
PC rules. That's right. You better believe it.
Rob McDermott. Rob McDermott's going to be joining us there as well as his buddy Tommy. But he's heading over. It's so funny, Jeff. He's on the flight. He follows us the same.
Well, you know what he should do is just delay. Just There's lots and lots of empty seats on our flight. Just postpone. Just get an earlier flight. Get on our flight earlier.
Get our flight and go with us
Because
over
I think our flight's earlier. Right.
right.
You're
We're on
going
the
later.
8:30,
We're
10:30.
we're on the 8:50 or 8:30, whatever it is, and he's just
Right.
show up early. Try to get on the early flight. There's lots of seats available, and so it's like it's an empty flight. We're gonna be flying it on our own. So come on.
Walker Labs. Yep, that's it right there. That's it. Yeah, we had a great chat. Anyway,
See
great
that?
having.
Lurking and learning. You gotta love that.
Thank you. We love to
Yeah,
hear from you,
Greg
man.
is-
I mean, years
Greg's not
we
gonna
love.
be
We
here.
need to hear from you more, Greg. You got a lot to contribute. So love
That's
to
right.
hear from you more.
We-
I know how it is. Just
we
sitting and
learn.
listening to things. I understand how that is. That's cool.
I learned more from reading the comments. You know, it's amazing. I love the comments. I love people participating. We learn so much. We don't know something. We're talking about something. People are posting stuff as we're talking. It's awesome.
Educating us,
Educating
Jeff.
us. They're educating us. What is this? Seriously, Jeff, bring all the ointments. What
Yeah, okay.
ointments?
I don't know what he's talking. Exactly what quantum computers Mac has made. There you go. See?
What quantum computers?
Seriously, Jeff. I don't know what he's saying, but anyway, that's all we have, guys.
What
It
anyone's
was a
talking about anyway.
great interview with Aaron. We're wrapping it up right now. Over 1,000 plus people watched overall, 1,080 plus.
It's
So it's
awesome.
really
It was
great to have
nice.
you guys with us. We'll probably get some excerpts in this. But,
Everybody.
we won't be broadcasting Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, but however, we'll try to put some content up where we will try to go maybe do a little live if you're up for 3 in the morning.
You ever just stop reading? I don't. That's a that's why, you know, there might be a big pause. Like, you know, all of a sudden I'm not responding.
Always read the comments.
because
That's the problem.
I'm reading people's comments. It's like, and then Chip's like, are you gonna respond? Do you have any feedback? Like tonight, I was just like, my brain was in a whole different space. There was all this dead space. I was like, oh, maybe that's my cue to say something.
Yeah, Craig's saying with Airy, you know, Crypto Eddie, Kevin Cage, Jungle, back BCB. But by the way, it's going to be
Jungle.
really cool because Crypto Eddie is going to be there. Blockchain Backer is going to be there. King Solomon's not going to be there. Unfortunately, we still haven't met, but we'll get around to it at some point. But it's all good. You guys got to get on the earlier flight, Rob. We got to go over together, see what you can do, pull some strings. But if anything, we'll see you guys. You guys are right behind us, so we have that 2-hour layover. We might I think we just miss you there too. Like we'll just get on a plane as you're landing. So
We're gonna be there for like 3 days at the LAX airport. We're gonna be like Tom Hanks in that one movie.
yeah, of course. Grow a beard and just kind of walk around and
You're
eat
gonna
the
be-
airport food there for 7 years.
Rob
you know.
will show up and we'll be like fixtures already in the airport. Like, what are these guys doing in the airport? I don't know. They've been here for like a week already.
KJ Crypto News. Oh boy, that's a blast from the past. ASM's been around a long time. All right, guys, that's it. We are getting out of here. Really appreciate you guys coming today. Loved the interview with Aaron. Looking forward to meeting him in real life, as well as a lot of the other folks too, and also a lot of the fans of the show. People have been supporters of the show for many years. We come to your country. You guys show us the Vegemite. We'll eat it. We'll do shoeys. We'll do anything you ask. Right?
Vegemite.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Jeff, you're eating Vegemite. Let's
I'm
have
not
a
eating
Vegemite.
I don't mind. I've had it before. I'm not. I don't mind
but,
trying it again, but it's not.
You can eat more Vegemite. We'll have a Vegemite off. You can see who can eat more. Use a couple
It's
slices of bread. See how.
Vegemite, and Marmite.
Yeah, Marmite's the other one. Yeah,
They're both bad.
they're both awesome.
They're
Jeff. You
both
don't know.
equally bad.
That's why you don't like a Mac. You don't like Vegemite. There
Well,
you
you
go.
know what it is? It's just it's when you eat it outside. You know, when you eat it here, it just isn't the same.
It must be, yeah, just like the native beer and everything else. Hopefully, we'll see some Yowies when we're there as well.
I love snails.
Snails. There you go. Snails are all right. So anyway, guys, that's all we have. We go see you guys on the next one. Jeff
Locked up in the lounge.
So now basically they're calling you Mr. Freeze now, Jeff.
Mr. Freeze.
Just one show on Aaron's show. The best point you're ever making. You're now known as Mr. Freeze. It's so funny.
I don't even know if was I frozen in the thing or did I like disappear for a little
No, you
while.
were like this. You were like, and Aaron was like, Jeff was about to make the best point all show.
Oh,
No,
sure,
no.
that was it. It was
We missed-
everything. It was
we missed
everything, and you guys will never know what I was gonna say.
We're
I'm
out
never
here
gonna
running.
share it.
We're out here. Chip and Jeff out. We'll see
Out.
you guys soon. We'll broadcast. We'll give you some tidbits from the Gold Coast. Talk to you soon, guys. Yeah, fill in the blanks.
Fill in the
Jeez.
blank, Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. Just change your name to Mr. Freeze now. That's you. You're a
Hang
villain.
on
You're
a second. Hang on.
ego,
Super villain.
ego
Hang on before we can log out. And now
Let's
I got to
see.
be the.
There
we
he
go.
is, Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze. You'll forget to change it next time. You'll be Mr. Freeze. All right, very
Mr.
good.
Freeze from now on. That's it.
That's all we
The
have.
crypto villain.
Right, crypto villain. There you go, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out.
Mr. Freeze.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.